DJ and PK, the NHL is at the halfway point of the season. How much are you into the Utah Hockey Club? Daniel, meh. Probably would care more if I could afford tickets to actually watch a game.
How many Jazz games do you go to? How many whatever you're a fan of do you go to? I mean, the folks who go to the game are just a small part of the base, aren't they?
Yes. Matthew, watched a couple of games on TV, followed the team's social media accounts, checked box scores regularly, attending our first game Saturday against the Islanders.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's plenty good to be in, doing all those things.
Brett, some of my friends really like it. I may eventually go to a game. I'm suffering through Utah hoops. I've tuned out of the Utah Jazz. I'm waiting for Utah football to start back up. Go Utes!
Well, you got 9 months, man. We just got done.
Some more games. About that 30-game college football season I need. Brooke says, I love hockey. I've been following UHC in the standings. I went to a game with my sons. It was great. Don't know how soon I'll be going to another game, though. The tickets were very expensive. Thought they were supposedly going to be more affordable than the Jazz. Not even close to being affordable.
No, I have no idea what they're paying.
Everybody's definition of affordable is different.
Well, but affordable and expensive can be both. Well, just because they're affordable doesn't mean they're not expensive.
Not expensive.
If you're making more money or what have you, or the best of, you've inherited more money.
All right.
That's the best way to get rich. You do nothing. Born into it, like you were.
What?
Compared to me, I would have killed to be on your side of the tracks. Indoor plumbing.
You were in New Jersey in an outhouse.
Back in New Jersey.
So you can have both. You can have it affordable and be expensive. Which, yeah, tell me a sport that you go to that's cheap.
It's got to be minor leagues. That's.
Yeah. Some people paying to go to high school is a lot,
yeah.
Depending on what your situation is. And so I don't scoff at that whatsoever. But I don't think that going to games defines your fandom.
Following the games, reading the box scores, listening to them on the radio, watch them on TV. There's lots of ways to follow it.
I mean,
These
I was
days,
a Dodger fan growing up. And when I moved to Phoenix, and we didn't have baseball, and I was used to having the Yankees and Mets on. Somebody was on TV literally every day with the two teams, and then I move out to the desert, and you just get the game of the week. And then about 15 years old, I discovered that they're on the radio. So I listen. I grew up my teen years listening to Vin and his guys, but I didn't go to a game until I was in my 20s. But it
didn't
take
stop
away,
you from being a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had that, what was it? Who was the guy? Benny something. You can give them $10 and they give you all these things and they don't advertise it. Sign up for the this or that, and I did. And you get the yearbook and, they send you stuff. So there's other ways.
So it's like some kind of fan club deal
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. What was his name? I can remember talking to Tom Hofarth about it because he grew up in the L.A. area and he was a hardcore Dodger fan, and we both did that because, all the games weren't on TV back then. Now, where I lived, none of them were, but even in Southern California.
LA, right. They were televising home games in that era.
So you end up listening to the radio a lot. What was his name? I think his last name was Goodman, and it was like a fan club for kids, you know what I mean? And I did that. So just because you don't go to the games, a lot of people can't. They literally can't afford them, or they've got to work or whatever, and they got lives to live. Man, it's hard to be able to go.
And you got to get up and go to work, and the TNT game starts after 8:00 and finishes about 11.
Yeah, and I was a hardcore baseball fan growing up back east, and I didn't root for the teams, Yankees and Mets, but I could tell you everything about them. I could tell you everything about the Knicks everything. I mean, they were on TV. I think the Knick games were on TV, the home games too. But if I went to 3 games a year, that was a lot because it was somebody else had tickets or what have you, and you get to go. And I had this enormous family with my father having 7 siblings and my mother having 9. So and they knew I was from almost from birth. You wonder how you end up being a sports fan, how some guys aren't and some guys are. How does that work? I was drawn to it from the earliest ages.
I was drawn to it at such an early age, I don't know how it works. As far as I know, I just always loved watching games. My dad was watching games. I was watching games.
But playing, too. It wasn't just watching.
And I don't really remember a time that I didn't have. I do remember that we got a basketball hoop in our driveway when I was in the 3rd grade. But I don't remember a time that I didn't have a baseball glove or a football or a baseball or a bat.
You had one in the crib, man. You were bouncing it off the wall.
That seems unlikely due to the stringent safety standards of the Sniggledorfs. But nonetheless, your point is taken at a very early age. You were asking about how much are tickets, and I just looked them up while you were talking there.
Of course, you're always looking up stuff while
I know,
I'm talking.
and this was perfect.
And I'm surprised you even paid attention this time.
Well, once in a while. You can get the most expensive ticket on StubHub for the San Jose game, the next game, which might be a little less expensive. I mean, Florida's the defending Stanley Cup champs, and the Sharks are at the bottom of the standings. But the next game, $455 to sit behind the goal is the most expensive ticket I see. In the lower bowl, I see tickets for $113 and $92. Now, he said his sons, does he have to buy 4 and keep it even because he has 3 boys? I don't know how many tickets
you
you
just
need,
take your favorite kid.
All right. Who's my favorite? Who's going to be good today?
Who's your favorite kid? Well, you have one, so quit lying.
No, you can rotate through them, too. In the upper bowl, there's some expensive stuff in the upper bowl. That may be a luxury suite. I can't read this properly. But there's tickets under $100 in the upper bowl. Here's 44, 47, 58. There's a couple in the 30s. Now there's fees on top of this, so you're not really getting out of there for $36.
No, it's the fees.
You do this stuff. How high are the fees? If you see 36, did you assume 50? How much are they piling on?
I've never purchased a sporting event through that.
Man, but you've done concerts. I assume the fees are the same.
I don't know if they are.
Oh, okay.
I don't assume anything. When you're trained at the foot of Walter
there
Cronkite,
it is.
you
right.
assume nothing as a fact until you verify it. So I don't know if they're the same. They can be anywhere from 50 to 100. You think Marketing and Hardy paid that much?
No, I don't think they paid a thing. I think they just walked in and said, "Hi, I'm Will
It's
Hardy."
amazing. People who are
Larry
rich don't have to pay stuff. Does this make any sense? That's the way it is. Thank you, Walter. Yeah. So, Hatback was given an interview.
Yep.
Had the hat straight. Had the gear on. Exciting times. But people can figure out what they can afford. But that doesn't mean that you're not a fan. Good for you if you can go to the game. I was talking to a friend the other night who was at the Jazz game, and he was there entertaining clients. Are they fans? Come on. It's a business prop.
Yep.
So I'm more of the people who don't go to games but are still into it. And I think it's got a solid fan base. And as far as following it, I don't really think that takes a lot. You watch, by game 20, you got an idea who the guys are. And then you got a decent little foundation. And then you can build it up from there. So I think it's fairly easy.
Learn a little bit here, learn a little bit there.
Yeah.
Watch the interviews, listen to the interviews.
Yeah, you can read stuff.
Coach will teach you stuff about how he wants them to play the game as he talks.
You know who the people are. So it's easy to get attached to them, I think. You don't have to be an expert on how to play the game and all this stuff. And then that's for the folks the people who do it for a living, and then the wannabe media members who think they are way into it, and so they know. Good for them. But you can it doesn't take that long to get involved. I can name you the guys.
David, not a fan. No clue how to watch them. ESPN Plus is always blacked out.
It is.
They protect the local broadcasts. Unless it's an ESPN Plus exclusive.
Yeah. I mean, that sucks.
Adam says, I love it. I've been twice. I have an over-the-air antenna and Dish Network adapter so I can record games. I watch them all.
Good. Yeah, I didn't realize they weren't on Comcast till you told me that they weren't.
Right.
I don't understand that. I don't know why.
The station they're on isn't carried by Comcast. They don't have a deal for whatever reason.
Freaking
But
get one.
there's either that or the contract will be up soon enough, and we'll see. I think every station in the market's going to bid for
I see
them.
what you're doing there. All right, now it's making sense.
Excuse me.
Every station in the market's going to bid for them.
There's a
I
certain
don't think BYU
entity.
TV is going to bid it for him, so I would disagree on that.
The 4 over-the-air stations in the market, the main 4 are going to bid for them.
Well, you
when they come
decide
available.
who the main 4 are?
I did.
Who granted you power to be deciding that? I watch BYU TV, BYU Sports Nation. It airs at 1 o'clock Eastern.
I don't think the PBS stations are going to try to carry the games.
But you said the
commercial
over-air
stations.
stations, and I take you for what the words mean.
Your Fox, your NBC, your CBS, and your ABC.
I
think
am
we're
a
all going to be
Fox.
looking for opportunities.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so Hatback going to make more money?
Seems likely.
Nice.
Seems likely.
That's what he needs.
Remember when I told you once about if you want that, you better have leverage. Have another offer.
So he's going to have 4
he's gonna have another.
bidders?
That's my expectation.
When's it up?
He will. I've been told 2 different things, so I don't know. I think it's up based on who told me different things. I think it's up at the end of the season, but it might be another year.
So whatever they have
They
could
had to
change.
They had to carry over their deal that they
Yeah, I
had in
understand.
Arizona with that company because
I got
that
it.
company has a station here also.
I understand that.
So
Although they could go back to that.
they could. That's one of.
I would like to see it
assume
beyond
that's
for
one of the
folks who
bidders.
have Comcast. I'd like to see it beyond and have that exposure to that. It's so difficult for me to grasp that you have a local team and I have a local cable company or whatever, and I don't get it. I can literally live right across the street, and I don't get it. I don't get that you can't get it. That boggles the old mind as to why that is. So whatever they do, I hope that it's available for everybody who wants to watch it. And if this guy here buys an ESPN Plus subscription and then can't get it and wants to watch it, that stinks.
The over-the-air antenna can provide a lot of sports because it'll give you all the hockey games, it'll give you all the Jazz games, tons of NFL and college football. There's actually quite a bit of sports out there for free if you have one of those. Not everything you want.
For free. You got to buy a television. You got to buy
the antenna.
And then you got to have an engineering degree to figure out how to use the antenna.
Or a neighbor with an engineering degree like you.
I mean, how do you do that? You get an over-the-air spiel.
I assume it comes with directions, but I don't know because I don't have it.
As a guy who's done it before, it does have instructions with it.
Yeah,
There it is.
And if you're inclined to do that, it's easy. How many times have I heard, it's easy? Yeah, it's easy for you.
Yeah, I know, but it's not for all of us.
For the low fee of
That's like, yeah.
Yuck, you got a consulting company? You can come. Yuck can swing by.
He's in the traffic world now. Leave him alone.
excuse me.
That's like, does your dog bite? Well, no. Well, of course he doesn't bite you. So, it's so simple. It's easy. Yeah, it is for you. I mean, it is for other folks. And where do you get this over-the-air antenna? It's not as easy as it seems, and you don't even have one, so how the crap would you know?
I bought mine at Walmart.
Walmart. I've been told RC Willie has them. I think you can call around. You can find them.
Really?
Yep.
That means you got to have a phone. You're just
It
all
does.
these assumptions of the privileged.
Mm-hmm.
The affluent. Just, again, the affluent telling us that life is so simple.
Use the landline.
Isn't that ironic?
Use the landline at work.
I don't have a landline.
At work.
Oh, I don't know. I never used a phone here. You got to dial this one, that, and then boom. Next thing you know, you're dialing some number they don't want, and they catch it, and they fire you. I'm not going to risk it.
Yeah, things fell apart for you pretty quickly there.
Could happen.
It was an ugly scenario.
Right. And all of a sudden, you find yourself in a trap. Whew, bad news. Well, I look forward to that. Hockey night with David James. Did you go over to the arena and found that people really like it and you can do this?
No, I already
Is it
knew
time
it.
for a manifesto?
I already knew it.
I'm off next week, and so if you want, and then I won't be there to interrupt you.
You're not going to be off next week. You already told me.
Hockey night with the Snigs. I like it, man. Whose job you after now?
Nobody's. It's not going to happen. You're just making stuff up.
We never thought you would be the voice of RSL, but yet you are.
Yeah, that's true.
And you ramrodded people and pushed them the crap out of the way to get it.
It's not exactly how it happened.
Depending on who you talk to, you just said, I've talked to 2 different sources. So I think, depending on who you talk to, I think that is true.
Yeah.
I just quoted you.
Dan quit and moved to Portland. There's the story.
Dan who?
You know who.
Well, that'd be cool. I hope it gets available, whatever they decide. Because I think it's important. It's a community asset, and
It makes it available to a broader community.
yeah, and then I just think the community, then it's looked upon, wow, that's Salt Lake City area, man. That's a big-time sports area. And who knows, as the Millers try to get the MLB. I think all that stuff helps. That you get excited about it. And I think there's enough folks here that aren't from California that can be fans of here. Like, we know with the Jazz, there's so many Californians, and oh my gosh, they love their Lakers, they love their Dodgers, and those types of things. And that'll always be there. But I think that those folks, like for instance, my sisters, they moved to Arizona in their 20s, a long time ago now. But their kids are born in the Valley.
They don't have the Jersey thing.
No.
Arizona's
They
their
got
home
a little bit of an
state.
attitude. You can't help it. But in terms of their allegiances,
It's to the Phoenix teams.
yeah. So I think we have that here. So as you go forward,
The first generation moves to town and they bring their Dodger, Laker, Warrior, whatever
Wherever it might
fandom
be, yeah.
to town.
yeah.
And then the next generation, more likely to root for the local team.
Yeah, in Arizona, it's more widespread. You'll have the Steelers or the Bears or like the freaking Cubs in spring training. Oh,
yeah,
my gosh.
They pack the place.
I mean, it's just trying to get a
Yeah.
Cubs ticket in spring training. You got to plan the second they come out. So, but I don't know that we have that here as much because people don't come to Utah, or at least this area, to live in warm weather.
I was surprised because I was at the when the Calgary Flames came to town. I was surprised how many Calgary fans. I would say there were at least 1,000 Calgary fans, easy to identify, standing up cheering, wearing the team sweater jersey, and there may have been more. Maybe not everybody was decked out, but I mean, there were. It was stunning. I mean, Calgary scored, and it was pretty loud.
But doesn't some of those places in Canada, don't they have a higher level of LDS people
Calgary for sure.
that might be inclined to move here or go to school here?
Southern Alberta has got a heavy LDS population.
Is that what it is? That's what I thought. Yeah. I thought I'd heard that
we got
somewhere along
we got
the
a guy
line.
here, Scotty. I'll be way into the Utah Hockey Club when my St. Louis Blues come to town next week.
Yeah, but that's okay. Their money counts just as well.
It does.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want a high preponderance of it, then it gets awkward.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll have that. And in future generations, we won't have that. So from my perspective, it seems like it's going well. And it doesn't take long to figure out when you start throwing out 20 years old, 21 years old, all these young dudes, and they're already there making an impact in this league. It doesn't take long to figure out, hey,
Where
3
does
to
this-
5 years,
Yeah, where does this trend over 5 years?
this team's got a shot to be competitive. I mean, they're already competitive, but I mean, being really competitive to make a run at the thing. And having been in Las Vegas a number of times for other reasons when the Knights were doing their thing, it was incredible to see people, how jacked they were. I think, that Vegas folks were so starved for big time, and that was their first
taste of
really
it.
Local,
Yep.
where we've had college football at the highest levels, and we've had the Jazz at the highest level. So I don't think we're as starved for it, but everybody loves a winner in every sport. It doesn't matter what it is.
That was their first one. Then they got the Raiders, and now 3 years away from getting MLB.
Yeah. And hockey, it may not be so they just assume they're in the Western Conference Finals. And they'll get there at some point with 3 to 5 years or whatever it might be. And then the town will just be electric for it. My sister, after she got out of college, stayed back in the southern part of New Jersey, which is the suburbs of Philadelphia. And if you remember, if you do the timeline, the Flyers were really hot. And she said that's all everybody talked about. When they were having the Broad Street Bullies and all those guys doing their thing, and it just really captured the community. It may not be the level of the Jazz, but I think it'd be pretty close.
DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Big game tonight. What to expect from the national semifinal? That is next, and we're talking Utes at 8 o'clock right here on The Zone.